Hi, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage. Today we're holding our monthly tech meet and we're going to be doing a tune-up on a Silver Cloud 3. You can see in there in the center, way down here, there is you see it? There's a little round port. There's actually two sleeves in there. The center sleeve goes up and down. You can adjust the mixture. And what that does is adjust the jet up and down on this so you can fine-tune your mixture. When the car runs, this lifts up according to load, and it allows, it's more narrow at the bottom than it is at the top, so that jet stays one size. So as you lift it up, it allows more fuel through. Very simple, very simple. So these usually have some oil, so I like to dump them. Try not to dump it in the, see that? I had some oil in there, that's good, as it should be. Let's get some basic choke cleaner, carburetor choke cleaner. Always point these away when you put them in. Yep, done that. Been there, done that. As they say. Now, we're going to clean as much of this stuff off as we can. And it's kind of hard to get it perfect, but you want to get all that grit. And most of it's going to be on the other side here, because that's the side. The air comes in through here in this direction. So it comes from the air filter in through here and then through this direction. So this outer side of the carb, especially that one, was covered with crap, or dirt, I mean, because that air filter is inefficient. Which is probably why you had to tune these so often. So they just didn't have the right materials. And then, you want to clean this up.
Is that like gunk? Is it like engine spray gunk, or is it?
It's a spray choke cleaner. I don't know what its actual chemical state is, but the brake cleaner's different. This will leave like a little film on stuff. The brake cleaner leaves everything dry. I think it's got alcohol in it.
So these contaminants that are on there are not from the fuel; they're from the air.
From the air coming into the engine.
Okay.
As you see, it all builds up.
Carefully, you don't want to drop it and bend the needle.
Or the housing.
Right.
The housing's worse.
Yes.
Yes. But then they don't go up and down like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So have you been off-roading in this car?
Only a little.
In the desert?
Oh, this is your car?
Yeah.
Oh.
You see all that garbage you got by. Because there's a slight, it's a slight vacuum, only because these air ports right here, they go around the outside and the air pushing and the air sucking on top lifts that thing up. So some will get air ports right here, they go around the outside and the air pushing and the air sucking on top lifts that thing up. So some will get by, obviously. It's supposed to have a gap. It's a calibrated gap. What that calibration is exactly, I don't know. A real common problem, or an area of concern on these, is sometimes something will be warped, damaged, and this will come up and not go down all the way. The thing will run idle like crap. So I've had to fight that before, where these have been dropped. These especially. So it's just something to keep your eyes open for.
Well, you've got those off, you're getting chromed.
Oh yeah, it's necessary, because when they buff them and all that, tweak it out of them, yeah.
Put them in the hot baths.
Now these float bowl covers are handed. As you can see, they're different, left and a right. There's a left and a right. If they were the same, they both have the ports on one side. So you got to pay attention to that. Plus, you want to put the float back in if you take it out. Another one of those lessons I learned. Why is it dumping fuel? Oh, the float's on the bench, that's why.
Those are one of those ones.
Using the old float, right?
We saw no reason to replace that float, so this slips in here. You got to be careful when you drop this, slip this thing in there. You don't want to bend this, because we spent time calibrating it. And there's a stud through the middle of here, and then there's this vent tube. You got to mess with, so you just kind of got to be careful. And I usually like to start this main inlet hose or tube before I tighten anything else. This one's a little bent, so it's fighting. Usually they're much easier to deal with. Okay. The reason I like to start it when you can wiggle it is then you're not going to cross thread it. You don't want to damage this stuff. This brass nut out here, I've seen them split from people over tightening them. Then you got to find another one. Okay. So this right here is still good. I think I'll put new ones on anyway. The new ones look like they're nice and hard. And that goes underneath this tube. And then this one goes on top. So you got to kind of play around with this to get this thing started too. So you want to start both before you start tightening anything. And back up to about the synchronizing the butterflies. You can look in here and you can see there's a butterfly. I'll open it. See that? Can you see that, Steve? Can you come over here and look? See that? When you give it gas, that butterfly opens inside there. So if you got a balance problem, you have to make sure that your choke is off. So if the car's cold, you got to stick something in here big to hold that open. Reason being is there's a little cam on here that gives it a fast idle when it's cold. And if you try to synchronize it when that's on, you're going to be way off. You'll make it worse. So once you make sure that's off and the fast idle cam is removed, then you back this off. This is your idle speed setting. Okay, and then what you do is you loosen this cinch bolt and push this thing close with your finger. Tighten up that cinch bolt. Then you go to the other side and you loosen this cinch bolt and press that butterfly closed. On the other side it's at this angle, so you got to press the top instead of the bottom. And then you tighten that up so you know they're both closed. And then you should be able to just turn this in and it should open both of them at the same time. That's basic carburetor butterfly setting. It's much easier than putting those silly little doodads in there and bringing it up certain idle. And then what you got to do is you got to loosen this and tweak that shaft to get those things to line up. Hopefully they're not going to start turning on you, which they do. So that's the easy way to do it. And you see how that choke closed? And this throttle is open now. Watch this. When it's down, you can see that throttle is pretty darn closed in there. Get some, okay? And as soon as that choke closes, you hear that click? Now it's open more. You see that? You can see a gap in there. Yeah. That's the fast idle. Essential when you have a choke, because if you start adding a lot more fuel without more air, it's going to load up real bad. All right, so let's tighten up these. Tighten the top one first. You want to tighten the top one first. Taking care to give yourself room here to get wrenches on here because this thing rotates. And when you tighten this down, you want to make sure it's on there square because there's a little lip on this. If it gets on there cockeyed and you tighten it up, you're going to break this cover. Guaranteed. You fill in the blanks. So now that this is tight, I can tighten up this fitting that holds in that fuel filter. And then to tighten this outside one, I'll do this without that wrench on there. But once we get close, we have to put that big wrench back on to hold that nut behind it.
Yeah, you never want to do the outer one without the inner one that's tight.
Right, and I've had to train a lot of mechanics. Well, what happens is you'll tighten this up here, you'll over-tighten that, and when you let go, this tube is going to spring it back. So that's why you got to hold the back fitting.
That happen when you do it, either tightening or loosening.
Right. Yeah, loosening, you break things. And this wrench is struggling here because this has been tightened pretty good a few times, so it's distorted. So now At the last bit, I am holding that back nut to keep it from turning and then giving it a little twist. You only have a few pounds of pressure here, so you don't have to crank it.